more a week than their European counterparts. So they have a huge, heavy burden of family care, and they also work longer. And they get fewer benefits. For example, the French are guaranteed 5 weeks paid vacation. The Americans are not nationally guaranteed anything. Sometimes get a week or two, but that's a different story. And what does that mean to a relationship or a family if you get vacation together? If you have fewer work hours, if a lot of the things that make you slave at home are taken care of. So, you know, Americans are kind of exhausted and in despair about what to do next. And one symptom of that is 1/3 of the population has now or has taken psych drugs, usually for anxiety or depression. You can get a psych drug like an M&M, you know, like M&Ms from your general practitioner or from your nurse practitioner, because it's assumed, since 1/3 of the population takes them, that they'll need them. Our country, the OECD, no, actually it was the UNICEF, did a health survey of the 21 wealthiest industrialized countries and the well-being of children in those countries, 21. The United States was 20th on everything except healthcare, where we were the last, 21st. And these include countries like, you know, Portugal, Spain, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, so that this is pretty scary. We've become a society in which people isolate themselves from one another as part of the ideal. We don't have a vital anti-capitalist movement like there's also no in France, who's huge, where people vent their anger in political ways and work together, creating support systems of all kinds, or like the Linke Party in Germany, which has representatives everywhere. And our unions aren't militant or politically organized to protest government policies. One kind of organization that has flourished and brought people in the in-group together are churches. However, churches are based on the idea you've got the one true religion, those outside of the group are not saved. You know, either you're a fundamentalist and they'll all burn to a crisp while you giggle ascending to heaven, or you just know yours is the one true faith, whether you're the chosen people because you're Jewish, or you're in Orthodox, or you're the chosen people because you're Catholic and you know you're going to heaven, and so on. And so that, and the idea isn't to embrace other people of other religions or atheists. So Americans have another organization that there are two organizations that have been thriving. One is churches, and the other is 12-step programs built around personal pain, where people can connect with others with their same affliction. However, in none of these programs are you allowed to talk about any social input into your problem. That's considered a cop-out on personal responsibility. The 12 steps. The 13th step isn't what is the social conditions of this problem, like the liquor lobbies or the pharmaceutical companies, or gifts to psychiatrists to palm drugs on you. So, you know, that's another kind of program, but it also includes an antisocial factor, which is the factor that you cannot go beyond your personal pain to reach out to social causes and to create a social movement around those causes. So in summary, I want to discuss this recent phenomenon that distinguishes us as a nation in the way that we've handled tough times, and that's the mass shootings of the last month. So as I said, 48 people have been murdered by 7 guys having trouble, obviously. 3 had been abandoned by their wives or girlfriends. And I look at that and I think, well, their feudal right as a man to command a woman to take care of them was breached, which was terribly disturbing in a time of everyone scared. Of course, they didn't have the option of reaching out to all their friends. They didn't have any. They were good, full-blooded American individualists, isolated people. They didn't call their friend and say, I'm so scared, I get violent impulses, or I feel terrible, she left me. Go cry to their friends, talk bad about their ex the way a woman would, get right on the phone and, dish dirt on their ex. Or find some other way of connecting. And 3 of them were unemployed and very angry about it. And 2 deliberately killed police officers over issues that they felt discriminated against with the law. In one case, it's because Popolowski felt that, in addition to being very angry that he was unemployed and had been fired by many jobs, including a job as a policeman, so shot 3 policemen when they came over, and was that he felt that because of Obama he'd lose his assault rifle collection, because under Clinton actually assault rifles were banned, and then of course Bush did that, and he felt his guns would be taken away, but also he had failed at several jobs and been fired, including a job in the police force. And another, Mixon was his last name, killed policemen because he couldn't bear his probation officer. He had said to friends, I'll go back to his uncle, I'll go back to jail. He felt humiliated and unmanned by his parole officer. And he was speeding and got caught and shot 3 or 4 officers. So in these cases, there's part of a kind of documented relationship, which actually has been documented in studies. There's one just coming out now, and there's in Florida, but that look at what's happened, the relationship between unemployment and violence, either domestic violence or violence in the community. And what I think is it's part of a feudal legacy in which men by birth are entitled to a superior position to the goods and services produced by women, and to the right to discipline people physically who disagree, and these are men who feel their rights are being trampled and who can't cope with the huge changes that have occurred in relationships with women, so that, these are 3 of them whose wives left them. One who killed his 5 kids, I think is the most recent. His wife left him because he was violent. Too bad she left the kids home, but whatever. And they are driven mad by their loss of privilege. And it can't be noted that none of these people, even in our isolated society, none of them are women. And I think that's partly because our job has been to maintain life, and partly because we have a feminine impulse which has been tested, very interesting, very different from fight or flight, but to connect in hard times and to help one another. And so that we're in a real disaster in the society as the forces that were created through this historic decision have just rent families apart and changed the terrain of relationships without giving people any help to understand them and to deal with them, either governmental help in terms of child care and after-school care and health care and retirement benefits and employment. France, unemployment insurance is 90% of your salary. That helps. Plus education is free, and so is health care. These are all things that help in the hard time. And they're still furious. And rightly so. And so that people are going mad in the light of the economic disaster and the emotional and family disasters that have hit their lives. And